Chapter 39, Evidence. Leonard slammed his foot on the brake just in time. The van mounted the pavement and stopped at the bottom of the town hall steps. Baby flung open the back doors in relief. Oh boy, she hadn't half had enough of rackety old vans. A small crowd of Christmas shoppers poked their noses in. Baby, Fingers, Brian, Sophie, Robert and Frank burst out through nosy old women, puffing their chests out to, "Oh, my word! Well, I never did. What is the world coming to?" "Blimey, we thought William was bad, but he was terrible," said Fingers, picking herself up from the road. Swaying, Brian leaned on the laundry van. "I feel dizzy." Robert staggered round in a circle. "It were brilliant, weren't it, Frank?" And Frank, with springs for legs, jumped into his arms again and licked his face. "It was certainly exciting," said Sophie, wrapped in a laundry blanket. Steam spewed out from under the bonnet, and Leonard leaped from the cab, punching the air with his fists. "I beat them coppers! I beat them! Just call me Sir Malcolm Campbell." Gin stumbled out into the dirty snow. Leonard's Mars fruit basket hat, a bit squashed, slid off the cab floor after her. Free of the van at last, they all scrambled up to Ida on the top step. Frank reached her first and yapped excitedly at her heels. Leonard recovered himself at the bottom. His wide grin was still splitting his face in two. "Let me in!" She banged with her fists on the enormous front door, the small bundle of evidence screwed up in one of them. "Why don't we just go to the police?" asked Brian. "There has to be more." Ida thumped on the door again. "We have to have enough to make sure," said Ida, not giving up. Frank yapped and jumped and scratched at the door, but Baby could see it was no use. "Ida, come on, girl. He said get him evidence and you got it." Though she had to admit the little screwed-up bundle in Ida's hand didn't look much good against Mrs. Buller, who seemed to have convinced everyone that she was just doing her job. A side door creaked open. A young woman in a jaunty knitted berry and her collar up against the cold wind clip-clopped in her sensible shoes down the town hall steps. Ida Barnes waved the book and the bundle of papers. "Miss Lovelock, these are for your boss. It's evidence that Mrs. Buller's been stealing from the orphanage." "At last. Thank you, Ida. Exactly what I need." The young woman snatched the papers and was so pleased with them, her berry nearly slid off her head. She pushed it back on and stuffed the papers inside her case, which seemed to contain a whole load more. "I know exactly what to do with these." Ida ran up to them. Harry ran up to them. "Ida, Ida!" He bent double over his knees, catching his breath. "She's getting away in Underwood's van with Bonnie." "Come on, girls! No vans this time! We're stopping her the old way!" Baby slipped through the crowd like a slither of soap. She grabbed Ida's hand and they ran for Ida's sister, for their lives of kids everywhere, to see that horrible woman get what she deserved. Fingers, Gin, Sophie, Brian, Robert and Frank followed. They ran past the late afternoon shoppers spinning on their heels at such a sight, past the lights in the windows, past the gyrocopter still drawing a crowd in the churchyard, and past the dirty, heaped-up snow. In the green, gassy glow of the streetlights, like the wind, they ran. 6 girls, a boy, and a dog.